March 27th, 2010, Greenville Pickens Speedway, Easley, South Carolina.
We've got a green, a white, and then a checkered flag. Here's the restart. Look at Cole Witt. Nice jump. Nice restart by the 84.
Oh, he gets a little bit sideways. Darrell Wallace Jr. pulls up beside him.
For the lead, Darrell Wallace Jr. Boy, he's bumping and banging, hanging onto that race car for dear life.
It was the first K&N East race of the season. 16-year-old Bubba Wallace started the race in 7th, battling his way to the front in a race that was dominated by reigning series champ Ryan Truex. But Truex and Cole Witt tangled on the backstretch heading to the checkers.
Clear by 4, nice and smooth, finish it up. No pressure from behind, you got a wreck on the backstretch. Stay green, finish it up here. Come into the checker, Bubba Wallace. Hell of a job, kid.
What a night for Darrell Wallace Jr., part of the driver diversity program, Revolution Racing. One of the owners, Max Siegel, he's got to be happy.
Max Siegel, a strong run in the Toyota All-Star Showdown, and now Darrell Wallace Jr. picks up his first win in his first ever start. How special of a moment is this for you guys?
This is incredibly awesome. It's a testament to Andy Santerre, Blair Addis, John Story, and all the drivers. It's incredible.
Go join your driver in victory lane.
All right, thank you.
On that day, Bubba Wallace became the youngest driver to win an East Series race, the first African-American driver to win an East Series race, and the first Drive for Diversity driver to win for Revolution Racing.
Well, Darrell Wallace Jr. in his first ever start picks up his first ever win in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series. He wins here tonight at the Greenville Pickens Speedway. So excited. Darrell Wallace Jr., congratulations on your first ever victory.
Oh my God, this is amazing. First of all, I just thank the fans for everybody coming out. It was awesome. First K&N Pro E-Series race, like third, fourth time down here. We had a really good test last week. And man, I just want to shed a tear right now, man. I don't even know what to say. I think I'm about to start crying in a second. But, I had everybody back at the hometown in Concord cheering for me. And I told everybody to watch it Thursday. But, great race. I want to thank everybody at Revolution Racing. John Story, Max Siegel, Andy Santerre, all the guys on my team, Robert Huffman, everybody. This is an emotional win, I'm pretty sure, for all of us on the team. They told me to save my tires, and that's what I did. And it paid off for me, and I'm sorry if I pissed anybody off, but, that's racing, and I didn't wreck you or anything. So, I know I probably got it coming back for me sometime, but, I'm ready for it.
You're listening to Driving Change, a celebration of 20 years of NASCAR's Drive for Diversity. I am your host, Crystal Clay. Last time we talked about a lot of firsts in NASCAR's history, and we're keeping that trend alive today. Now, Bubba's win that we heard off the top was not the first time that a member of the Drive for Diversity program won a National Touring Series race. That honor goes to Paulie Haraka, who won 2 K&N West races in 2009 for McAnally Racing at Colorado National Speedway and All-American Speedway. But Bubba's win in 2010 was important on multiple fronts. Greenville Pickens is the same track that Bill France Sr. convinced Louise Smith to get behind the wheel. It was the site of the first live flag-to-flag NASCAR Cup Series race to be nationally broadcast on April 10, 1971, a race won by Bobby Isaac, in which Wendell Scott finished 20th. For the Drive for Diversity and for Revolution Racing, it marked a new era in the program's short history. When the Drive for Diversity class was announced on May 20th, 2004, NASCAR's intentions were clear, but the path to success wasn't as obvious as Mike Helton explains.
One of the things that has made NASCAR survive 75 plus years, but also be what it is it fits the culture of the time, and it grows with the community, it grows with the country, it grows with the culture. We were moving along thinking that there weren't the barriers in our sport that others perceived to be there, so therefore there were barriers. Brian France was the nucleus behind us taking a close look at our own way of doing things, and coming out of it, we decided that you can do programs in your office building, you can do programs with your employees, but we're in the sports business and we needed to generate some kind of a program that gave an opportunity to people that want to be in the sport as a competitor, whether it was a crew member or a driver. I think the different disciplines in the sport, the team owners, different corporate sponsors, NASCAR itself, different series that NASCAR was involved in. I think there were some efforts being made, but they weren't very well organized. There needed to be a very specific concerted effort around it, and then that's when we created D4D.
The first Drive for Diversity Combine was held at Hickory Motor Speedway in January of 2004. 12 drivers and 28 pit crew members showed up competing for 11 slots. The 5 drivers were Morty Buckles, Bruce Driver, Allison Duncan, Joe Henderson, and Reggie Primus. On the crew side, 6 individuals were selected: David Crops, Tommy Lane, Calvin Gravely, Amar Johnson, Robert Johnson, and Cesar Villanueva. While success behind the wheel didn't come quickly for the inaugural crop of drivers, several of the over-the-wall crew members achieved long-term careers in the sport, including Cesar Villanueva, who worked for several teams and has been part of multiple championship-winning teams, including a pair of truck championships with Ted Musgrave and Todd Bodine. In 2017, he joined Hendrick Motorsports as a tire mechanic and interior specialist, and was part of another Drive for Diversity alum, Kyle Larson's championship run in 2021. The first 5 years of the program, there was limited success on the track for a variety of reasons. NASCAR as a company knew there needed to be a change. NASCAR President of Diversity and Inclusion, Brandon Thompson.
It was new. I think that was probably the biggest challenge. I mean, you've got this thing that kudos to leadership at the time. They were obviously very serious about the commitment and understood the importance of it. But I think that, whether it was cultural differences at the time or just some hesitance or even a perception of hesitance from the fan base about how the program would be received, or even, how teams would react. I do remember that there was a good amount of angst, I would call it, around that. What's the right way to do this so that people don't feel like NASCAR is funding or paying for a driver to be able to make it or in bed with a particular team that they shouldn't have been for, whatever reason or the other. Largely, we were able to kind of get through some of those challenges, but that first model was tough because you had a lot of sort of dollars going to different places, and it was really tough to manage all over the country.
Again, Mike Helton.
So I think when we first started, we were thinking, okay, we could do this with existing teams. We can do this with existing facilities, and we could say, we want you to do this, and we'll help you, but we want to give these individuals an opportunity. So it's tough to get the right equipment and the right synergy around the program inside the garage area and on pit road and on the racetrack. You have to manage through different organizations or different individuals who looked at it as an opportunity maybe more for them than it was for the effort itself. And so as we grew and got more mature and understood all of that, that led us just to be better at what we were doing. That kind of worked, but it didn't really satisfy what we were after. So we realized that there needed to be a very specific, completely lined, and completely focused on the D4D program all the way through. And Rev Racing and Max Siegel, they came about to be that section of this effort that gave a driver or a crew member an opportunity to be part of a real race team, and that real race team was focused completely on this diversity effort all the way through. And so the addition of Max and Max coming into the program and becoming part of the program, I think was a very significant moment that helped us champion our cause.
Max Siegel was born on December 31st, 1964 in Los Angeles, California.
I had a really challenging childhood. I grew up in a household with divorced parents who did not go to college. A lot of drugs and alcohol, chaos, and confusion. Growing up in that household, for me, I didn't have a clear vision as to where I wanted to go in my life, but I wanted a better life, and I wanted an environment that felt a lot more healthy, and it felt a lot more safe. And I figured with neighbors and coaches and people who believed in me that the best way to do that was to pursue my education. Battling adversity, I always tried to pull from the positive things that people poured into my life. And what I saw was the more that I achieved in school, the better I was in athletics, the opportunities I had to get summer jobs or internships, and it motivated me to want to work harder. And so I was always driven with trying to develop my skills, to get more experience, to be able to provide for myself. And so it was really motivation for me to continue to work hard.
Siegel attended the University of Notre Dame, earning a degree in psychology and a Juris Doctor from Notre Dame Law. He has worked in the music industry, represented athletes, worked with several USA Olympic teams, and in 2006, he was tapped to become the president of global operations at DEI, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, becoming the highest-ranking African-American executive in NASCAR.
I've been fortunate enough throughout my career to be introduced to non-traditional opportunities in motorsports and in sports and entertainment, and I found that it is a great platform to have cultural impact. And so there are so many kids out there that you can capture their imagination and their attention, and you can do positive things in the community through sports.
In 2009, Max created Revolution Racing and set out to recruit some of the best in the industry to help build a team that was focused on developing drivers and pit crew members from diverse backgrounds and experiences in NASCAR's developmental series for future competition at NASCAR's highest levels. At the announcement of the 2009 Drive for Diversity class, then Managing Director of Public Affairs for NASCAR, Marcus Jadot, spoke on what it meant to have Max involved in the program.
Really excited about Max and the 909 group and John Story and their entire team being involved in the Drive for Diversity program in 2009 and going forward. Obviously, Max and John have vast experience in the industry. They understand NASCAR, both NASCAR Inc. and the NASCAR industry, and certainly they understand sponsorship marketing, which is a big driver in our sport, and we believe that they will be a very good fit. Building on last year's results where drivers in the program in 2008 won 14 races, numerous top 10s and top 5s. One driver, Paul Iaraka, won 11 of the 18 races that he participated in. So there's a great foundation of success in the program. We believe that we have more talent involved in the program in 2009 than we did in 2008. So certainly looking forward to seeing good results from the drivers who are involved. But our role at NASCAR isn't to determine results. It's the role of the drivers that you see here. Our role is to create opportunities for young drivers who otherwise might not have had those opportunities. We feel very good about the opportunities that we've created and the ones that were announced today.
Max Siegel at that same press event.
Well, first of all, regardless of who you are, if you want to get into the motorsports competition side, it requires a lot of capital, a lot of focus. Coming up with the resources to just give people access to the program is difficult. So the fact that NASCAR has kind of stepped up and provided some seed money and the ability to manage a program gives people exposure to NASCAR and the motorsports program, as well as an opportunity to drive that they may not have. A lot of hard work, a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of teams that are committed to developing these drivers throughout the series. And we're looking forward to working alongside of them to grow their individual programs and move people from Camping World up to the Sprint Cup Series. Got to commend NASCAR for the commitment to the program and the way it's grown every year. 12 drivers this year. It's just an awesome opportunity to have an impact on the sport in a broad way.
Brandon Thompson.
Max and Jennifer Siegel have been, just huge partners. Obviously, Max being able to come over with his experience from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, it was almost the timing was really interesting. Obviously, as he transitioned out of his role at DEI, with everything that was going on, and to be able to take his experience not only at that point from having run one of the foremost properties in NASCAR, but obviously his expertise in the music and entertainment space, and what he was able to bring was really important at a time when we needed to be able to have one single source of a one-stop shop, to the point of having sort of teams and dollars going all over the country. What Rev provided was a home for all of the drivers to be able to come to under one roof, and where we knew, really similar to the IROC days, right, that the cars were coming out of one shop, and so it eliminated a lot of the, again, hesitance or skepticism around who was getting what equipment based on whatever relationships that they may have had in the past or any of those things. So Rev being able to come in, have a single point of contact with Max and Jennifer, really in terms of all things, sponsorship, competition, and the like was really important.
I was introduced to Brandon when he was an intern, and I recognized his passion for racing and his heart as a human being. And Brandon came to work for Rev Racing, and we would spend hours and hours and hours talking about life and just his passion, for making this industry better and more diverse. To see Brandon progress gives me such pride. He's one of the most respected professionals in the industry. He's authentic, he cares, and he has a high standard for excellence. And so every time that I see him, whether it's on TV or we're talking on the phone or in person, I just take a lot of pride to know what his journey was all about, and that he also is committed to making sure that he develops the next wave of leaders. When we formed Revolution Racing, the thing that was absolutely important to me was to make sure that we brought in accomplished professionals who could truly speak to these drivers on their level, but could also train them.
Another one of those folks that Max sought out to recruit was that NASCAR fan from Lenoir, North Carolina that we spoke to in episode 1, Phil Horton.
Max came up to me one day. I had never met him. It was after a race, and we introduced ourselves and everything. And he told me, he said, "I'm working on some things, that I want to talk to you about later on." Some of the things that he, Reggie White, Joe Gibbs were working on as far as the diversity part of NASCAR. Of course, Reggie subsequently passed away, which was an unfortunate, but Max continued on with that vision. 2009, he brought me in to run the pit crew program, and that's what we have today.
Phil Horton has had experience in NASCAR for many years. Phil has trained some of the top athletes in the sport who have competed for championships at the highest level. Phil knows what it takes to be successful. I trust Phil, and Phil has a passion for not only strength and conditioning and pushing athletes to their limit. Phil not only knows what it takes to be a champion, Phil has the ability to work with every single athlete and figure out exactly what makes them tick.
The success on the track followed. Bubba Wallace followed up his 2010 Greenville Pickens win with another at Lee USA Speedway in New Hampshire and clinched Rookie of the Year honors in the K&N East Series. In 2012, Kyle Larson joined the program, winning the K&N East Championship, the first championship for Rev Racing and the first time a Drive for Diversity winner would claim a major NASCAR trophy. 2013 saw another up-and-coming driver join the program, Daniel Suarez.
At the time, it's important to mention for myself is that at the time I didn't speak English. So at the time I could not inform myself, I could not talk to people, like my communication with people from NASCAR was very, very minimum because I couldn't speak. So even if the NASCAR had a full article about NASCAR Drive for Diversity in English, I couldn't read it. So it was a little bit difficult for me to really understand. But I remember that there was a group of NASCAR Latino in NASCAR that I became friends with, and at one point they talked to me about it and they mentioned to me about it, and I was like, you know what, that's something that I really need to explore, and that's kind of like how everything came together. But if you think about it, I didn't look for the program until a year after I moved to the United States. Maybe if I knew English, maybe I would have done it before, but I didn't.
He notched 3 wins in the Toyota Mexico Series that year, along with 1 K&N East Series victory at Columbus Motor Speedway.
A typical week for me at Rev Racing was training. I've been always big into training. I love being in good shape, being fit, but always trying to be fit and going to the shop to learn the cars, to learn the culture, and most important for me, to learn the language. My biggest school to learn English was to be at the shop, listening to my mechanics, listening to the people. I remember bringing my laptop to the shop just to do some practice in English. And some of the mechanics were playing with me, trying to do interviews like, "Hey Daniel, you just want to race. How do you feel about it?" And I was answering, "Oh, good. It was pretty good," and that's it. So, For me, going to a shop, it was like going to school for the language, for the car, for the culture, for everything. So it was very helpful. First I learned how to understand English, then I learned how to speak English, and then I started learning how to understand Southern English.
That same year, Bubba Wallace moved to running full-time in the Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsports. And on October 26th at Martinsville Speedway, he would pull off something that hadn't been done since 1963.
Final time down the back straightaway for Bubba Wallace on his way to victory lane, checkered flag in the air.
The 20-year-old will win his first ever victory here in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
Oh my God, this is, I don't know, man. I'm speechless right now. God, I couldn't even hold it together coming off forward the checker, and I still can't. Here's the man right here. It's all because of the hat he's wearing, Tennessee. So, oh, man, I had so much confidence coming into this race, and I told my guys that I did, and I told everybody that's how I was going to win. I said, hell yeah, every time. So it was no, maybe we're going to try, but this one was for sure, and we capitalized.
You came up and graduated through the Drive for Diversity program. Have to acknowledge what this means historically for NASCAR, the first African-American driver to win in nearly 50 years. What does this mean to you, to know you're a part of that?
That's big, and that's what still gets me caught up, because to be the first since him, and he really paved the way for us, and I'm just trying to follow his footsteps, and I know I got a lot of work to do to get where he's been, but he was definitely looking over me this race, and he's 30 miles down the road, and that always helps, having family in town, and it's all one big family, and I brought this family a win, so it's cool.
He backed it up the following year with another win at the Paperclip, running a very special paint scheme.
But Krista wants to see this one right here.
32 right here, but the 34 is a very special scheme, and that's Wendell Scott in honor of Wendell. Beautiful paint scheme right here. Let's go talk to Bubba Wallace here live on NASCAR.com Garage Camera. You got to be loving the fact that you've got the coolest scheme here in the Camping World Truck Garage.
Yeah, for sure. If we can get it, about to get run over here. If we can get it as fast as it looks, we'll be all right. We were struggling a little bit in the first round, but this is a cool freaking paint scheme here. So excited to be running the 34 Wendell Scott Hall of Fame for our Toyota Tundra. I'm pumped.
And you got mechanic me on it. Are you the mechanic today? I know
I'm always
Wendell
the mechanic. Always the mechanic.
All right, there.
And describe this truck that he's driving. It looks exactly like the one Wendell Scott drove in 1963 to his victory in Jacksonville, Florida. Powder blue on the bottom, white on the top with a dark blue numeral. It's an awesome looking race truck, and maybe we'll see back in victory lane again here in Martinsville.
Bubba Wallace getting aggressive as they go around the 08 of Camden Murphy.
Remember
how... Look at that! There goes Ramon Caroga to the inside, trying to grab the top spot in lap traffic. Is he going to get it into 3? There goes Ramon Caroga spinning around.
Darrell Wallace Jr. will take Wendell Scott back to victory lane. He has scored the win at the Martinsville Speedway.
God, that was so fun, man. Martinsville is my favorite place to come to, and without the support from NASCAR and then Toyota, the whole Wendell Scott family here, this is a special moment. Perfect weekend for us, man. It's a true honor to have Wendell Scott on our Toyota Tundra and to be able to put it in victory lane. Like Franklin said last year, I know he just said hell yeah up there, so this is cool as hell.
Brandon Thompson.
I was fortunate enough to be there the day Bubba won the race at Martinsville, running the Wendell Scott tribute scheme for Wendell Scott being inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And yeah, absolutely, it was a full circle moment. I think it was a very significant moment, and really maybe a bit telling about what the future of NASCAR and motorsports, I think, at large could really look like. Watching the Scott family, but also Bubba's family and Bubba himself and Bubba's team to soak that moment in was really cool. It was something that was special. I got, choked up a bit, right? Just being able to see there and witness it. I count myself very fortunate to be able to have been there and watch the race, unfold. And again, from being able to reflect back to when I first met Bubba and him winning his first race out of the gate, really that Rev Racing ever participated in terms of an official point race, was really special. And so I think we knew that Bubba had talent, and short track racing was kind of his thing. Greenville and Martinsville are kind of similar. Yes, it was great for what it meant for Wendell Scott to sort of pass the baton to Bubba Wallace and all the things that it meant for race and demographics, and that But to know that despite some of the challenges that we talked about, a bit earlier, the perceptions around people being sort of given things, it was well earned. We saw then at that moment that Bubba could drive, and so I think that that has pulled through, and it's really set the tone for the drivers that we've tried to go out and recruit to come into the program. I tell people all the time that everything changed that night in Greenville because it became about giving drivers opportunities. Now all of a sudden it's about winning races.
And win races they did. 2014 was a banner year. Bubba racked up 4 wins in the Truck Series and finished 3rd in points. Daniel Suarez got wins in the K&N Series and the Toyota Mexico Series. He also made his debut in the Xfinity Series at Richmond, finishing 19th. He would go full-time racing in Xfinity for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015, and just 1 year later, he would become the first Drive for Diversity graduate to win a series championship in one of NASCAR's top 3 series, taking home the Xfinity Series title at Homestead Miami Speedway on November 19, 2016, becoming the first foreign-born driver to win a major NASCAR title.
Daniel Suarez, he will be the first ever international champion in NASCAR.
Thank you guys, thank you! I wanted to cry. In that last lap, when I took the white flag, I really wanted to cry. I was just so happy. I had so many emotions. Nobody really knows about myself, how much have taken my family to put me in this position. And they work really hard to put me in this position. So I'm just very proud of them to have the guts to put everything on the table for me, to do my dream. And right now, to win this championship in front of them and from a lot of friends, sponsors, it's just something that I can describe with words.
More and more drivers and crew members were coming into the program. Names like Nick Sanchez, Ryan Vargas, Isabella Robusto, Raja Carruth, Regina Servant, and LeVar Scott all began to make their names in the sport. Since the Drive for Diversity program began, Rev Racing has won 27 races, with drivers finishing in the top 10 in points every season. In the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East / ARCA Menard Series, Rev Racing is the owner of 2 championship titles. The first with Kyle Larson in 2012, and the second came in 2022 with Nick Sanchez.
At the end of the day, right, Rev Racing built me into a winner in legend cars and late models and ARCA and now trucks. So I feel like that's always the key element, right? In whatever you're in, you have to win and succeed no matter what's thrown at you. And I've been able to do that with Rev Racing, and they've helped me accomplish that. So I think that alone is a huge takeaway.
My continued hope is to immediately educate the world that there are so many talented people out there from diverse backgrounds. I'd like to see diversity become the norm. In my own organization, I see that we've achieved the height of success athletically and financially. I attribute that to the diversity of my staff and the professionals and the athletes.
The D4D program, to me, it really represents just growth, evolution, excitement, refreshment, optimism. When I hear and I think about sort of how the program has grown over the years, the ups and downs, the challenges, the criticisms, the long nights, the rough conversations, right, that you have across the industry, or when you're working in the shop, or when you're in the office, about how to navigate a particular challenge. But to know that at the end of the day that we have 3 drivers that are in the Cup Series, and there is a long line, I'll say, of drivers looking to push them out of their seats, right, to be able to be the next them, but also to be the first of themselves. I think, and that's huge.
On an annual basis, we get to identify young crew members and drivers and bring them into our academy-style training and develop them into future professionals. And we've been really proud of the success that we've had over the years with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson and Raja Carruth and Daniel Suarez and Nick Sanchez. And so for me, it's been really rewarding over the last 16 years to be able to bring young people into the sport and have them have a lifelong connection to it.
At the start of the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series season, 10% of the field was a product of the Drive for Diversity program. Not to mention the 75 pit crew members who came from NASCAR's Drive for Diversity Pit Crew Development Program.
So in the era that I was part of the sport in, I wouldn't trade it for any other era there was, so far anyway. But I'm too old now to worry about the ones in the future. But I just think that we're better. NASCAR is a better organization. We've got a lot of great, fun, energetic connections, whether they're drivers, crew members, employees, team employees, NASCAR employees, doesn't matter. I think our world is just better blended now. I sit back and look at that, and it's a proud feeling.
Next time on Driving Change, we will take a closer look at the drivers who have been a part of the program.
My name is Dylan Smith. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Randolph, Vermont, and I want to join the NASCAR Diversity Program.
Mi nombre es Daniel Suárez, tengo 21 años. Este es mi primer año corriendo para el programa Drive for Diversity. El año pasado, en el 2012, hicimos el Combine y bueno, la verdad muy contento de tener esta gran oportunidad.
My name is Raja Caruth. I am 22 years old. My hometown is Washington, D.C.
My name is Natalie Decker. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Eagle River, Wisconsin, and I want to drive for NASCAR Drive for Diversity.
Paul Haraka from Wayne, New Jersey.
I'm Nicholas Sanchez, and I'm from Miami, Florida.
All right, Daryl. Everybody's gunning for you in the program. You came back second time in. Tell me, what was it like getting on the track this time?
It was pretty fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what I come here to do, is have fun. And I went out there and did exactly that.